Hello there and welcome back to the channel where today we are taking a look at the Steam Game Festival with all these demos and live streams for new and upcoming games being out right now for you to go and have a look at. I thought I would give you my top rundown of some of the best games from all genres that I have seen in this festival. So without any further ado, we will jump right into it. I would like to make a note, tomorrow we will have one dedicated to Tycoon simulation management games. So if you're into that area, like most of the subscribers are, I recommend you wait for that. A game which slipped under my radar until now by some bloody miracle is 100 Days Winemaking Simulator. It is, well, a winemaking simulator. It's got a couple differences to it. You can see in that video right there, you have that kind of small space, and that is the only small space you're allowed to build on in these little parts of the gameplay, which is already a bit different to games like Turmoil. There's another winemaking game which has completely slipped my mind. Someone will tell me in the comments though. But yes, you got gameplay here where you will have complete control over a winery. You dictate the process, the ingredients, and all of those big items that you need to make wine. I don't drink wine. I don't know a thing about wine, so I don't know what those processes would involve, but I imagine it involves growing grapes. That's about it. You've got to balance your quantity and quantity, both with what you buy in, what you produce, and what you sell in order to make the highest profit. Looking at the features list here, it says you simulate a realistic approach suitable for both beginners and non-experienced players in the area, which is good. Simulation games which are just hard on are not really enjoyed by the vast majority. You have the ability to cultivate different types of vine, analyze the soil, and choose the grape variety that best suits those characteristics. Okay. Organize work in the vineyard, such as pruning, and chipping. Protect your vines through specific treatments. It's basically just farming in general here. You can check lots of things through the winemaking process. We'll skip down a bit, though, and as you can decide which of your wines age and how long they are aged for, which of course really gives them a better taste. I imagine that's what whiskey is made like. You can customize your bottles as well, choosing their shape, color, and aesthetic designs. You can create a sales network and adapt the characteristics of your product to suit different types of customers, and manage marketing and social activities in order to increase your company's reputation. All in all, it's a pretty fully fledged, fully stocked winemaking simulation game, and that took 2 minutes to explain. Gosh darn. Next, we have the Survivalists, which is a game or sandbox adventure game set in the Escapist universe. Here you will explore, build, craft, and train with monkeys, which can be done in multiplayer with up to 3 other friends, making it a sandbox multiplayer adventures kind of game. It's a world of adventures, the big title you see there. So what does that mean? Well, the island is alive. Your newfound home will change as day and night cycles. There's animals, an array of different foods, enemies, and plants for you to find and use to your advantage. You can trek across this wilderness and find these items at your pleasure. Finding the pearls of the island is what this bit is. Build together, survive together. That is part of a multiplayer game concept. You and 3 other castaways, i.e. just a co-op multiplayer setup, can work through the game and build up your base and survive, ideally, if you're good enough at the game. You have monkeys in the game, and they can be whatever you want them to be, essentially. They can be a builder, a lumberjack, or a soldier, and they can be trained to do any of these tasks, or basically anything you want them to do for you, which is quite a cool idea, having these basically AI people, or monkeys, or animals, I guess is the best way to put them, which can do whatever you want them to do, essentially. There's also some kind of tech tree, which will allow you to research different items and build better items, which is quite interesting indeed. And there is really just a lot to the game. If you enjoyed The Escapist, this is, like I said, set in the Escapist universe. It's a bit more barren than, being stuck in prison. I think you're pretty detached from civilization here. But it reminds me of that movie with, I think it was Tom Hanks in it, and the football and stuff. Someone's gonna rip me apart for not knowing what that movie was called, but it reminds me of that. we have Snowtopia. Now, Snowtopia is a ski resort simulation management game, a tycoon game as it would normally be categorized, where you have your little ski resort. You've got no skiing at the start, of course, and you build up little slopes. You've got quite a cool thing for building slopes. It tells you how dangerous they are, how exciting they are to a prospective skier. And these skiers will, of course, come along. They'll want to have good slopes. They'll want to have slopes that are of different levels for beginners repairers for experts and all that. And as you build out, of course, you'll want to make sure you have your what do you want to say, your services. So you're getting people from A to B. You can see there you can build things, I don't know what the name is, to get people from the bottom of the mountain to the top, and all those kind of more nitty-gritty items in the game. It is quite an interesting take. We've not had anything looking at like skiing and hotel necessarily management. It's not really hotel, but like resort management in quite a while. So if they do pretty well on the management side of things, it could be a very interesting game indeed. If you want to find out more in the terms of the game, of course you can check the Steam page. All the links for every single game will be in the description like normal. Next up, we have a little sidetrack into the car section of games with Art of Rally, and it really annoys me that's not capital A. Anyway, you're able to race in what is still called to be the golden era of rally. You can drive iconic rally cars from the 60s to Group B. I know more about Formula 1 than rallying, so I don't know what that means, but you get to go through these, frankly, amazing looking, beautifully styled, graphically wise environments. It's not a realistic we're going for, not like the rally games from Codemasters, but I'd say they're going for more of a flat design, and I think it's paid off. It looks bloody beautiful for a racing game, and it's probably much cheaper than the huge extravagant budgets those games have. Anyway, Art of Rally has a career mode for you to progress through. 50 plus iconic rally cars from the 60s, 70s, 80s, Group B, Group S, and Group A. A complete overhaul of handling and car systems from the game Absolute Drift. 60 rally stages in Finland, Sardinia, Norway, Japan, and Germany. You'll be able to repair and improve the performance of your cars, and there'll be daily and weekly challenges with online leaderboards. It is a very interesting game in terms of, you know, your rally driving, your car simulation games as well. And it is not a sequel, but a kind of game built on top of this game, which is a mobile game as well, Absolute Drift, which some of you may be aware of. Next in the list is Everspace 2. Everspace is a fast-paced, single-player space shooter with some exploration mechanics. It is, of course, a second game in this series, which, of course, means it's probably well known about by a lot of you people. It has some RPG elements in terms of, like, the gameplay and collecting stuff and exploring the world as is, and, upgrading your, what do you call it? I don't know, a spaceship, essentially. As you go about things. Like it says here, you embark on an exciting journey. You can discover alien species, unveil mysteries, find hidden treasure, and defend all of these valuables that you find. But it says here, but don't get cocky. Oh yes, there will be some high risk, high reward areas in the game. Let the lasers do the talking is an interesting point, though. You can annihilate your foes in Everspace TM. Dodge, dash, roll, boost, guns blazing in fantastic space dogfights is the point of the game, of course, flying around, killing things and collecting things, essentially. So if you like space and you like guns and you like death, I don't think that's the right way to put that. Anyway, it's a game for you if you like any of those things. Essentially, upgrade your spaceship and make it better. Next up, we have an interesting kind of adventure, single-player story kind of game. It reminded me of The Last of Us purely based off of this picture. It made me think of The Last of Us, and definitely not because I've been playing The Last of Us in anticipation of the second one coming out. Anyway, The Uncertain is a story-driven adventure game in a post-apocalyptic world. Humanity has disappeared from the face of the earth and has been replaced by robots, together with Emily, which is probably you. You have to find out the cause of your humanity's disappearance. Was it a rogue AI or something else entirely? That is the greatest explanation, the preamp to something that I have ever read, and that is the scariest GIF I have seen all week. What in the hell are all those hands? I want to know. You are afraid and forced to hide, apparently. Those who served till recently have suddenly turned against you, and now they want to hunt you. That is a completely different explanation to the one up here. Essentially, humanity has disappeared, robots rule the world, and you have to kill and slash and hack them to death to figure out where the hell the humans have gone, which is a very interesting preamp to a story game indeed. Drive-By is a cross-play vehicular combat game with a delivery twist. Essentially, it's deliver your Amazon parcels co-op with some battling mechanics in it as well. It's a very interesting game, and it looks pretty darn cool. There was a live stream on it a couple hours ago, which I watched a bit of. It's a multiplayer game, like you can see. There's co-op and cross-play co-op, can I stress? So that's even better for people who want to play with friends on different systems, especially since a lot of friends don't like the PC, in my experience. Anyway, to win, drivers must hustle the most deliveries and shake down rival drivers with power-ups. And it's basically a mix of like Mario Kart and Amazon.co.uk in a kind of mix together. It looks very interesting. You can use these abilities to impact other people's deliveries and try and come out on top. They, of course, can impact your deliveries. You have to make sure all while all this explodey, blowy uppy stuff is going on that you can actually get your deliveries done. You can customize your vehicles, be it a van, be it a car, with these interesting trails, wheels, skins, and weapons, and much, much more. So, if you're interested in something like that, a multiplayer game, I definitely recommend checking out, and the damn demo of it as well. Although it's coming out in a month, so it's not very soon, far away. The next game that I have for you is Mars Horizon, where you lead a major space agency as you guide them and humanity towards the stars. You can construct a kind of base. If we look at the image here, you can construct a base which will be used for researching, building, and managing your rocket operations on the ground. From there, you'll have to construct buildings for anywhere from your bloody mission control and much more. You can launch not only Mars missions. Mars is of course a major focus in the game, that's why it's called Mars Horizon, but stuff like just satellites into space in general. You've got lots of science projects. You've basically got to make money in order to do your big ticket Mars missions that you want to do. You'll also have to pave your way to Mars. You'll need those satellites to map Mars. You'll need those satellites to figure out many scientific data sets that I'm not aware of, and a lot more. It's been in a few betas that have been released, betas and alphas for you to try out, and everyone who's played it, including myself, has spoken wonders about it. So if you want to pick it up for a demo playthrough, then I would highly recommend you do. It's got an awful lot of people praising it already. Next up is a game I've mentioned in a series of other videos, because it is a pretty interesting tycoon game, is Cartel Tycoon. Cartel Tycoon is a story-driven business management simulation game, inspired by the 80s narco trade. It's not something I'm very aware of, but I think I get the general gist. You're basically a drug cartel. Hopefully I can get monetized for saying drugs, but hey, and you function in an 80s Latin America. You have to deal with rival cartels, state authorities, public opinion, and deal with a series of products, which I am not allowed to mention. Because YouTube and all that. I find some of the mechanics that I looked into this game previously, such as you can take over cities, for example, like with your there's a GIF right there, where like if you're in a city, the police might lock you in that city. You can't get out of it. Like they try to catch you as much as possible. You have to hide all of your products from the authorities. Getting them through borders will be a very tricky task indeed. But to go through the key features here, it's a tycoon action on an epic scale. You can grow a drug empire. You can run a huge logistics system of your farms, labs, warehouses, workshops, research centers, and delivery lines. Death is apparently inevitable, but lieutenants with unique traits take over for the drug lord before them. Oh, okay. You evade the authorities and square off, there you go, against rival cartels in the path of your profitability, and there's a procedurally generated story, which sounds interesting, and roguelike action for endless replayability. If Cartel Tycoon sounds like something you're interested in, I recommend you give it a little look. Sea of Craft is a physics-based construction adventure game. Basically, you're on a ship, as you can see in this very appropriately timed trailer. You can build up this ship. You can see here we got some building mechanics. With a buoyancy tank, that's an interesting idea. But yeah, you build up your ship with all of these different items, from a wooden raft to a buoyancy tank to much more. You can build a helicopter as well if you want, and you can put a cat on that helicopter if you so wish. Yeah, you can craft it anything you want essentially in this realistic physics-based construction adventure game. You can build ships, it says here. It does say ship. They seem to stress ships, so I don't know why they have helicopters. I did read through all this beforehand, because that's why it's on the list. I did not see the picture of a helicopter, which has ruined my whole segment, but hey ho. Like I said, show your creativity. There you go. You can build different things. There's a anti-submarine, there's a fright, a sea scorpion, a big fish, a Poseidon, and a dolphin sprint. Lots of other things. The idea here is like a workshop kind of idea. I think you can share your creations and basically use them in your own game. It reminds me of Besiege a bit, but like a Besiege with water and big tentacle-armed aliens. Beat Me is probably not the best way to start a sentence. Beat Me is a physics-based multiplayer game for up to 6 players. You can play with these kind of fantasy-styled characters in a pretty wide variety of fun and surprisingly challenging environments. You can see here, it reminds me of that Stickman battle game we had a while ago in terms of its perspective at the very least. It is one of these kind of, I've forgotten the exact word off the top of my head right now, but you know, flat, look at 2D, but not necessarily 2D games. It is for multiplayer. You can play with everyone. I do not think it's cross-play like the previous game, but it is multiplayer. And you can enjoy a game together with up to 6 players. Challenge your friends to try and beat you locally through shared screen or over the internet. Experience a special physics-based combat system. You can see down there using arrows to kill people. Well, not kill. We can't say kill on YouTube. To harm someone. You can choose from many fantasy characters with unique abilities. One of those would be arrows, of course. Enjoy up to 100 highly interactive and fun gameplay levels and pick from a number of different game modes, including Deathmatch. There's not much in the description and not much on the whole imagery side of things, but from what you can see here, you can tell it's got some damn good graphics and some pretty engaging, fun gameplay. Our next game here, since we're going for 15, not 10, which is a break from the normal, is Hyperventilla, the game. Here you would enter a narrative-rich open world of the Hyperventilla game in an adventure-filled space fantasy RPG. I started off trying to make my own explanations, but really, just telling you what they've typed out is much better, because they do it better than I could ever do. Anyway, you can see here we've got some spaceships. We'll go through some of the pictures here. You've got Mars, I think, in the background. Oh no, it's called Planet Baryon. It looks like Mars, but with snow and water. So really, it's just the planet we're looking for. You've got some other planets. This is Pluto instead of Pluto. I guess Pluto was copyrighted. But you get these nice looking ships. I'm not 100% sure if I go through here if you build them quite. Like, I haven't quite seen evidence that you build them up. But you get to see the insides of them. You can see there's 2 little chairs there, and I think there's a person there. It's pretty far zoomed out, though. Here, it looks like you're on a planet. There's a ship crash-landed there, whether you're the ship that's crashed or it's something else, I'm not sure. Here, you can see you're driving around some vehicles on a spaceship, which is even cooler. But here, you see, you take the role of a starship captain thrown into an extraordinary situation when the 3 time travelers mysteriously appear on your ship. With unusual abilities, you can help them or use them. One thing is certain, their powers will allow you to shape and reshape the Hyperventilla galaxy forever. These initial events will put you at the center of a political power struggle. You hold the key to the future of the galaxy, all in your hands. That is quite a lot of trust in your hands. Next up, we have the game. Oh, it's disappeared. Drillman Rumble is the game up next. It's a hand-drawn, fast-paced action game with single and multiplayer features. You can see here in the trailer right there, there's lots of bashing, there's lots of smashing, there's lots of fighting. Essentially, it is a single-player, multiplayer game in those kind of fighting senses. In a world powered by the endless revolutions of the Great Drill, there is no greater honor than being a drill warrior. Every 10 years, each of the tribes of Kyle put forth a warrior to fight in the Great Tournament. Bring honor and glory to your tribe while winning, essentially. It's got features including an intense online and offline arena mode for up to 4 players. You can get rich in in the endless 8-player bounty mode and hunt down the richest players to fill your bank accounts. You can use your favorite character to conquer the Drill Mountain in the single-player campaign. Select one of 11 drillers, each holding their own special abilities, amongst a lot of other things, including the ability to swing, teleport, use ninja abilities, ghost and stealth abilities, and take your drilling to the next level in a hardcore platforming challenges. It looks like a very interesting game. It has astonishingly bright and good graphics. It is, I will admit, not the kind of game I would play optionally, but since we're going for broad general, if I had to play one of these games, it would most definitely be this one, because I'm even intrigued by this. Finally, today we have a game called Crowns and Pawns, Kingdom of Deceit. Legends of the past come back to life in a charming mystery adventure, apparently says. Pack your bags and journey through modern-day Europe to uncover the secrets of the king who was never crowned. Well, it's like slightly confusing description. It is a kind of like, adventure game, and not quite a story game. I think it's still got a story, but it's more of a adventure through Europe kind of setting. It says here that the key features of the game would be a blend of history and myths set in the modern world, directed by the lead artist of a highly anticipated fan adventure, Broken Star 2.5. I'm sure that makes sense to somebody. A refreshing look at the classic point-and-click adventure genre. It's got hand-painted HD art with a touch of modern graphical features, and the world apparently around you will react to your decisions. It has a load of awards, like a load of awards, and it's even partly funded by like the European Union and the Lithuanian Council for Culture. Like, this has it's got to be a good game at this rate, doesn't it? I mean, really, it's got everything going for it. Anyway, that is it. That is us for today. I thank you much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. We will have, of course, updates on all of these games, given this is a game news channel. The Tycoon Simulation Strategy and City Building, Base Building game news comes out every week of every month in different genres on the channel. So if you want to stay tuned for that, I recommend you do. But until then, thank you for watching, and cheerio.